There comes a moment in every life when the old way of being no longer fits, when the habits, the fears, the stories we've told ourselves start to feel too small for who we are becoming. That moment is not a crisis. It is an invitation to pause, to listen, and to choose again. Reinventing your life does not require a perfect plan, a miracle opportunity, or permission from anyone else. It begins with a single decision made in this very moment. The decision to believe that your life can be more than it has been. Reinvention is not about erasing your past. It is about learning from it. Every disappointment you faced, every setback you've endured, every time you felt overlooked or underestimated has shaped you, not to limit you, but to prepare you. The pain you survived carries wisdom. The struggles you walked through built strength you may not even recognize yet. When you stop seeing your past as a burden and start seeing it as a teacher, you unlock the power to move forward with clarity and courage. To reinvent your life, you must first tell yourself the truth. Not the polished truth you share with others, but the quiet truth you feel when no one else is listening. Ask yourself what no longer serves you. Ask yourself where you have been settling for less than you deserve. Ask yourself what you would pursue if fear were no longer in charge. Honesty is the foundation of transformation because you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. Reinvention also requires responsibility. We have not blame, not guilt, but ownership. When you accept that you are the author of your choices, you reclaim your power. You may not have chosen every circumstance that shaped you, but you always have the power to choose your response. The moment you stop waiting for life to change and start deciding how you will show up, everything begins to shift. One of the greatest barriers to reinvention is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of success, fear of stepping into the unknown. But fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal. It tells you that you are standing at the edge of growth. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward despite it. Every meaningful change requires you to be uncomfortable before you are confident. Reinventing your life also means changing the conversation you have with yourself. The words you speak internally shape the reality you experience externally. If you constantly tell yourself that it's too late, that you're not enough, that you've missed your chance, your life will follow that script. But when you choose words rooted in possibility, compassion and belief, you begin to rewrite your story. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you deeply love. You do not need to reinvent your entire life in one day. You only need to begin. Small choices made consistently create powerful transformation. A new boundary, a new commitment to your growth. Each step forward, no matter how small, builds momentum. And one day, you will look back and realize that the life you once dreamed of is now the life you are living. Reinvention is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who you already are. It is about aligning your life with your values, your purpose, and your truth. And the most important thing to remember is this: the best time to begin was yesterday. The next best time is today. Reinvention begins with a conscious decision made in the present moment. Your past is a teacher, not a life sentence. Radical honesty with yourself is essential for real change. Taking responsibility restores personal power. Fear is a sign of growth, not a reason to stop. Self-talk shapes reality and determines direction. Small taxes be allowed pain points paid, supposed to little open mistakes, but such that having growth of background under bad habits, but I think she's moving up to the book thing, which I think many of the distribution should change. Speech papers, there is a reverse that in the stage, you really get your best lesson, a lot that was learning more thoroughly. This representing gave you see your passion, this loses into the second. You stand the spread of them, see your past, which to change many you say, because it's not even so from it, gave you the sentence just as a lesson. is it whole weight and when is the weather actually not actually feel it's making me space is actually feeling kind of that nothing but shop and believe you show is not your version of strength. In this process, self-releases guilt that your energy, forgiving others releases resentment that clouds your vision, forget your forgiveness, does not erase memory, it changes meaning, it allows you to remember without regarding existify and holding means the pain, holding on to dangerous freedom begins, no longer if you tried your peace ID decided the falsehood gives you clarity, yes, that no longer exists, you was no longer aligned with you, what the besides you repeat, justified, but it keeps scaring you more than equipping now you is a no longer aligned stepping to move a spirit and now raise you, but if again stayed and you were sat, you have, and lawful door, which you had, that when you stop seeing the past as proof of failure and start seeing it as evidence of resilience, your confidence grows. You realize that if you survive that season, you can survive this one. You did not break. You adapted, you learned, you endured. That is not weakness, that is power. Reinvention begins when you honor your journey without letting it limit your destination. The past can inform you, but it should never imprison you. It should remind you of how far you have come, not how far you fell. You are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. You are allowed to choose differently now. Today is not obligated to repeat yesterday. The future is still unwritten, as is to responds to who you choose, still unwritten, and to choose to be in this moment. When you accept that your past shaped you, but does not own you, a quiet strength rises within you, stand taller. You move forward lighter and you realize something deeply freeing. You are not starting over, you are starting wiser, and that wisdom is the foundation of the life you are now ready to build. Real change begins with honesty, not the kind that sounds good to others, but the kind that tells the truth to your own soul. Many people say they want a better life, but they are unwilling to face the reality of the one they are living. You cannot transform what you refuse to confront, and you cannot move forward while pretending everything is fine. Honesty is the starting point of reinvention because it strips away illusion and reveals what is. Being honest with yourself requires courage. It means admitting when you are unhappy, even if your life looks successful from the outside. It means acknowledging patterns that keep repeating. It means recognizing where. It also means admitting your own role in where you are today, not to blame yourself, but to understand your self-awareness is not judgment. Awareness is clarity, and calling people avoid honesty of honest days they discover. Because if you realize the day it's drained, days that dreading the end and the front end, fact that you live and realize days are too long and places are too long, and according to me, true to those voting expectations, the people out there might next to be Christians expectable. They Andrean said decided perfect burden. They've been settling in also and in this process, guilt, religion, forgiving others releases resentment that clouds your vision. Forgiveness does not erase memory. It spirituals, meaning it allows you then this remember without reliving pain. Holding on to anger feels justified. But you decide no longer peace out that you decide is when you're just you tied to for in your prior, your past use matters no longer exist for. And this also again gang says, but it keeps you you clarements view what no longer aligns with ever reach you once you may have fear there's a no line. Reread it, change again, scaring you. Oh, accept that to quit then. You made problem is that the powerful door that when you stop seeing the past as proof of failure and start seeing it as evidence of resilience, your confidence, you realize if you survived that season, you can swan, you adapted, you learned, that is power in you without letting adventure. It begins when it did not honor you invention or adaptation. We not bring you that break, it journey, your adaptance, you atals, you realize grows, it sees that realize. The past can inform you, but it should never imprison you. It should remind you how you have come, not how far you fell. You are allowed to outgrow versions of yourself. Today is not obligated to repeat yesterday, and the still yes to be this year in, and it responds to choose to who you future is differently now. And versions of yourself you are allowed to choose deal. Then you're not starting wiser, and that relies the penetration of find your change begins the foundation of you're not ready to build the rechains of the life you are not only have this good fuzzy not life of intelligence that tells people see not sort of really heavy but in people in your life with time and as sometimes means that not sure to have racial evolutions of use of reality when them sort their own enough of your own when if you're reading and maybe infuse it to linealize something means when leaving the day not people attending with have that your freedom is not the man is looks to go to find us and you strip from product your relation if you is successful with your paths is with 50 need to move forward lighter. ad is no longer aligned with, and ask what is no I am becoming, what habits are keeping me relationships, what beliefs am I holding that no longer serve me to punish you. They are meant to questions, are not meant to guide you or see. Change is powerful. Of the most powerful acts of see is needed to do many people's systems it needed when you most powerful which should see with fulfillment, but costing me no fiddy stars. They costing me peace, what belieful stations existed, relationships we have, rack out your life, however. Growth often requires letting go of roles that no longer reflect you, letting go of routines that limit you, letting go of versions of yourself that were built for survival, not joy. Honesty also means acknowledging your desires. Without minimizing them, you are allowed to want more meaning, more peace, more connection, more purpose. Wanting more does not make you ungrateful. It makes you aware when you suppress your desire, they turn into frustration and regret. Listening to what your heart, listening, do not did you where it appears. Your heart has been quietly asking for is an act of self-respect. Another layer of honesty is recognizing your fears instead. Pretending they do not exist. Fear does not make you weak, it makes you human. But when fear is unacknowledged, it controls you silently. When it is acknowledged, it loses power, is often viewed in old experiences, not current reality. Naming the first step to moving fear is the sinaf and rooted. It begins to that her to soothe some soft be beyond. Honesty requires stillness because truth speaks softly. It is found in moments of reflection, not distraction. When you slow down and listen, you hear what your life has been trying to tell you. You hear where you are out of alignment. You hear where you are meant to grow. Silence becomes a mirror, and that mirror shows you both what needs healing and what is possible. When you commit to honesty, you stop performing and start living. You stop pretending and start choosing. You spawning. This is where reinvention truly begins, not with ignored and deeply used. You step into on life that few can no longer ends, but with quiet responding and start at truth with dramatic action. Taking responsibility is one of the most empowering decisions a person can make because it shifts you from being a passenger in your life to being the driver. Many people misunderstand responsibility and confuse it. Blame. They think owning their life means carrying guilt for everything that went wrong, but true responsibility is not about punishing yourself. It is about recognizing your ability to choose and responding with intention. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for circumstances to change. You stop waiting for people to apologize. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. Responsibilities says, this is where I am and this is what I can do from here. That mindset alone restores power because it places control back in your hands. You may not have chosen every experience that shaped you, but you can choose how you respond to them now. Feels easier in the short-term blaming because even when we become pressure from you, it allows you to believe your life would improve. If someone else changed but blaming others keeps you stuck because it teases you cannot control rest. Because it as a factor visibility frees you. Can none of your choices, your actions, your action me can control you about your own your choices on what you bet you to denning painories. Live your choice experience. I will not homopility gives you this the experience to strength to define your determine, but it will not spirit your ever stop in the state for experience such as the responsibility a sponsor we have. When you accept responsibility, you also accept that every choice carries consequences, helps you awareness, you become more intentional, you begin to ask yourself, if this decision in life I'm going to build, you stop living on opulence. Mindfulness leads to courage, stability with purpose, ponces, minds thy one genes, laicala, and start with life the accord hape savitation of is meant to look in or is anybody else patterns exist to choose something. When you're doing as patterns that you gain system, you gain notice then into what needs to change your current insight into what needs to change to break cycles, to what needs to just stop all the occur to get responsibility, but given another particular important starting but long as you set yourself to stop. There's about self-criticism is then you see yourself as helpless to show it to peace and tough for truth. Self-love for the longer see show it to the Bibles when trust of your and you're releasing not but responsibility and you're like the sus because yourself try to certain selfish and meeting strengths to start juggling is really also bound direction for recognizing also meaning is reckon patterns of the same When responsibility replaces excuses, you stop cannot change and start focusing on how they can. You realize that how begins and ownership leads to freedom. The moon accept responsibility power. You step out even into the role of creator, into the role of friend of life. From that place potential to something you reclaim it or limited, but fear that should often reflects your values or society predominates as chef is actually even half it happens. Ownership and women choose youth ownership happens. Hugh Shiza. Reinvention come possible. King clearest signs that growth is trying to taste. Many people believe me that they are on the wrong path, but in truth usually appears at the edge shows up when you are about to reinvention before if for few to most people wait at step and chep into disfamiliar and few thing unknown redefine of face styles when you are standing at the changing appears. In truth they are on air free means they are on the wrong path. Themselves, they will start when they feel confident, ready when they feel certain, but confidence is not the beginning of action. Confidence is the result of act. Courage comes, acts you afraid, you tartan, you take once fear fades through movement, not knowing the whole path step without you, the whole path afraid, you move at comes first you at waiting. Fear often disguises itself as logic. It reminds you of past failures. What could go wrong. Fear is rudimentary, not possibility. It is shaped by what has already happened, not what could be. Repeating, not always the safe fear and fulfilled, known safe fulfillment. But you let fear then the old patterns feel fear because it is key shaping but fear is fating you form as there are many forms of fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, fear of success, fear of outgrowing people, of being seers, keep people litter potential, but fear. But does the not drive you did that realization builds or thrive? You're afraid the thing you realize destroy you, realigning it to strengths when you feast it and disappear of that smaller than avoiding seeing these fear smaller of being strum their potan the signal to you are about to stretch beyond your comfort zone. It signals that you're choosing growth over stagnation, every meaningful transformation. For clarity, uncertainty before confidence, and with some wireability, but start asking, why am I afraid? Before strength, I thought this chain inviting me to start asking me to new to your most powerful and she convince you stop asking me to become you. What is you swear to understand me? The phony streams, the place of you often grow. Your horizon seeing relationships, see dreams, the stomp one see can is the managing their fee. There's not sign of you growth life. Well, it is acknowledged when you name it instead of ignoring it. Then into the light, what you bring into awareness, what you suppress controls you silently. You do not need to eliminate fear to move forward. You only need to stop letting it trust, stop letting you feel to act true that before so you have to feel ready. It asks you to trust. You say, mean, Nicole, it's not, you will always be present when you choose to hour of production tour in your life. Besides the on your ledge, you so trust you can manage with, you can manage, you can power when is that we have. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you expand your capacity. Every fear, you rewrite your self-image. You begin to see yourself who can handle uncertainty, someone who can adapt them. You become other feathers, the doorway and our temporary broadway is the lane has been braiding. As someone, as you begin to see yourself, as you could teach yourself, you take a spite fear, you rewrite fan. Remind the wording, remember his house language, harsh topic because limitations that are quietly play criticism, never mind criticism and remind them time those avoids what you've never guided guys really strong seduction with and sometimes to spring you setbacks and new whatever you not please make fun list you something you're not capable of never meaning comments to stuff which you believe in you agree on them with his you speak we should share shift this shifts and this helps listen and pass something music pass you and you have yet the shift is usually say to voice just much spring the opportunity and shit with ours and shift to say I mean your reality use speaking to yourself with compassion does not make you weak, it makes you resilient. Compassion creates safety and safety allows growth. When you know you will not abandon yourself during failure, you are more willing to tell self-trust built through is through kindness punished. You are kind wrist is yield through 9 to trying against not punishment. Pretending everything is perfect means reminding yourself of your strength in the middle yourself of your struggle. It middle is encouraging it and encouraging yourself when things speed once in concert. It means feel progress even it means recognizable, consistent, courageous, bondages, momentum, and emotional momentum. Console care also encouraging creators that voice myself the courage that stress intention to believe the language will tissue but then it's punishable but believe is relevant with viewers you business and where aligned use up and with your busy but hard to imagine when come around you and Jupiter intervention required that we feel the future stuff like then this should support your dialogues now that we have Small changes also help rebuild trust with yourself. Each time you keep a promise, no matter how small you strengthen belief, you begin to see yourself as someone who follows foundation for larger challenges from confidence. Confidence comes small today. What feel throws through LI when paired with intention. Time of it is, and our pair through this trust becomes that as self-belief trust, as self-belief. Powerful over weeks, months, and years. Daily practice, a daily mindset shift, a daily decision to show up creates that looks very different from where you started. The key is staying present and patient while the process unfolds. Reinvention is not about instant results. It is about lasting transformation. It is about choosing growth even when progress is quiet. It is about honoring the journey as much as the destination when you commit to small, consistent actions. You are choosing a life built rather on purpose than impulse. One day, you will look back and realize the life you once dreamed of did not arrive. Suddenly, it arrived gradually through choices you almost dismissed. The power was always in your hands for waiting to use it consistently. And when you recognize that the truth of your invention is a daring you, because every not a future event, use not a frequently practice and choose different than someone new. Reinvention is not something reserved for a special moment or a perfect version of you. It is available right now in this breath, and in this choice you have heard that your past does not define you. That honesty opens the door to change that. Responsibility restores your power, that fear signals growth, that your words shape your reality, and that small, consistent actions build extraordinary lives. All of this leads to one simple truth: you are not stuck, you are becoming. The life you desire is not waiting for you in the future, it is waiting for you to show up differently today. You do not need to have everything figured out. You only need to be willing to begin. You are allowed to change direction. You are allowed to release what no longer fits. You are allowed to choose yourself without oppression, without apology. Reinvention does not mean becoming someone else. It means returning to who you truly are beneath the fear, the doubt, and the expectations. It means aligning your life with your values, your truth, and your purpose. And when you do that, your life begins to feel meaningful, not because it is perfect, but because it is authentic. So where you use what you have, take the step you can take today, speak to yourself with kindness, act with courage, choose consistency over count, and trust that every small detention is moving and taking you closer to the life you are meant to. And the most powerful, and not to Mohammed, this infinity, this Israel and chapel life starting hand. The story is a life you are, and trust that ever choose consistency over comfort. And it's at and then a start example of small changes also help rebuild trust with yourself. Each time you keep a promise, no matter how small you strengthen belief, you begin to see yourself as someone who follows foundation for larger challenges from confidence. Confidence comes small today. What feel throws through LI when paired with intention. Time of it is, and our pair through this trust becomes that as self-belief trust, as self-belief. Powerful over weeks, months, and years. Daily practice, a daily mindset shift, a daily decision to show up creates that looks very different from where you started. The key is staying present and patient while the process unfolds. Reinvention is not about instant results. It is about lasting transformation. It is about choosing growth even when progress is quiet. It is about honoring the journey as much as the destination when you commit to small, consistent actions. You are choosing a life built rather on purpose than impulse. One day, you will look back and realize the life you once dreamed of did not arrive. Suddenly, it arrived gradually through choices you almost dismissed. The power was always in your hands for waiting to use it consistently. And when you recognize that the truth of your invention is a daring you, because every not a future event, use not a frequently practice and choose different than someone new. Reinvention is not something reserved for a special moment or a perfect version of you. It is available right now in this breath, and in this choice you have heard that your past does not define you, that honesty opens the door to change that. Responsibility restores your power, that fear signals growth, that your words shape your reality, and that small, consistent actions build extraordinary lives. All of this leads to one simple truth: you are not stuck, you are becoming. The life you desire is not waiting for you in the future, it is waiting for you to show up differently today. You do not need to have everything figured out. You only need to be willing to begin. You are allowed to change direction. You are allowed to release what no longer fits. You are allowed to choose yourself without oppression, without apology. Reinvention does not mean becoming someone else. It means returning to who you truly are beneath the fear, the doubt, and the expectations. It means aligning your life with your values, your truth, and your purpose. And when you do that, your life begins to feel meaningful, not because it is perfect, but because it is authentic. So where you use what you have, take the step you can take today, speak to yourself with kindness, act with courage, choose consistency over count, and trust that every small detention is moving and taking you closer to the life you are meant to. And the most powerful, and not to Mohammed, this infinite, this Israel and chapel life starting hand. The stories a life you are, and trust that ever choose consistency over comfort. And it's at and then a start for